The UFC has always been a star-studded promotion. All of the world's greatest MMA fighters have been part of UFC, but all eras come to an end, and it seems that the UFC has reached that point. So what should the next step be? Building their future around young fighters.
He's on the neck already. High mount. He loses the neck, but he's in big mount.
No matter what the sport is, you always need to think about the future in order to stay in the game to keep yourself relevant. We've seen countless phenomenal fighters in the UFC, from Khabib, Anderson Silva, and John Jones to McGregor, Ronda Rousey, and Tony Ferguson. Now, the sad part's that some of them have already retired while others are going downhill in their careers. And that's not too good for UFC as a brand. They need to have superstars at their peak at all times to fight for their promotion. Want to make money? You need an audience. Want to be bigger than other promotions? You need an audience. Who brings in the audience? Superstars. Now, there are two ways you can bring in more superstars. Either you bring in an already established star, or you make one. And I think the latter is more thrilling. Like, there are so many young fighters in the UFC who can do the job. All the company has to do is invest in them. And honestly, some of them are already superstars, while some are right on the brink of it. Like Bo Nickel. I know, you might think that I'm crazy. This guy hasn't even made his UFC debut. How can you say UFC should build its future around him? Just give me a chance to explain myself. And before I do that, I just want to say, those who know this guy know very well what he's capable of. Now, let's start the praising process. Did you know this guy was a professional wrestler before signing a contract with UFC? And his last profession might prove to be an advantage for him. Why? Because professional wrestlers who decided to step into the UFC rarely failed. Yes, that's true. I know what you might be thinking, that it should be the opposite, but it's not. Brock Lesnar, Johnny Hendricks, and Josh Koscheck had everyone hyped up before making their UFC debuts, and they justified the hype. They did go to the top in UFC, and guess what? All of them were professional wrestlers before. Plus, he's the most highly credentialed wrestler to be a part of MMA, so the hype's there, and believe me, it's real. What makes him so good? His ability to wrestle, his athleticism, and his fierce nature. You might disagree with me right now, but just wait for him to make his debut and you'll be surprised. Also, the fact that he's only 26 years old just proves that he'll easily climb up the ladder and make it to the top 10 in the middleweight division. And if you think that's young, I can't wait to see how you feel about my next pick.
Won both matchups this year, the Big Ten Championship, a 3-point decision.
Paul Rosas Jr.
And it's proof of the larger youth movement in general in mixed martial arts. I mean, we've seen it.
Believe me when I say this guy's a superstar. Why? Well, for starters, he already made his UFC debut some time ago, and he was the youngest ever fighter to win a UFC match at just 18, and that too on his debut. Crazy. What were you doing when you were 18? People had really high expectations for him coming into that fight, and he lived up to all those expectations. All he needed was 3 minutes to show the world what he's made of. He perfectly executed a chokehold on Jay Perrin and won via submission. It's true that we've seen many fighters who had a big fanfare heading to the UFC, impressed at the start, but then just disappeared. But I don't think Rosas Jr. is going to be one of them. He looks really polished and mature for his age, and by the looks of it, he'll only improve from here. And if everything goes well, he can become a true king of the bantamweight division. Like, the UFC has to take care of this gem, help and teach him how to keep his feet on the ground, and don't let his fame get to his head. They do that, and his potential is unimaginable. Speaking of potential, this next guy shows a lot of it.
In a very favorable position, finish hard. This is what is given him the opportunity to.
Jamal Hill.
Like this, you got to dodge the crazy punch. You getting I think he's out of here right now.
For so many years now, the light heavyweight division has kind of been the old age home for the UFC. Yes, most of the fighters are outclassed, but us fans, we need to see some new and young blood. Yes, the likes of Jan Blachowicz, Glover Teixeira, and Anthony Smith have been dominating this division, but they all have one thing in common: they're getting older. But the good news is that things have started to change now. A lot of young fighters have emerged in this division, but the best of the lot is definitely Jamal Hill. The 205 185-pound monster emerged on the scene in early 2020, and I would be wrong if I say he hasn't lived up to the hype. His record speaks for itself. Out of his 7 total fights, he has won 6. And let me make things more exciting for you. 4 of those wins have either been KO or TKO. That's some insane striking ability. And while we're on that topic, the next guy on the list also knows a thing or two about striking.
Nice work, get it just out the way.
Sean O'Malley.
All or nothing. I love a Bruce Buffer introduction, but you got to earn that.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm talking about the current #1 in the bantamweight, Sugar Sean. He still hasn't reached the heights he was meant to, but cut the dude some slack. He's only 28 years old and still has a long way to go. O'Malley made his octagon debut way back in 2017, and since then, he has proven why he's being dubbed as the future star of the octagon. He's a truly phenomenal fighter and has defeated many big names in the division. His most recent win, well, he defeated the former champion Peter Yan.
Split decision, Sugar Sean
It's only a matter of time until he gets his hand on the bantamweight gold, and I can't wait for him to get his hands on the championship. He deserves it.
He's chopping at that low leg. Mutino
hasn't done so. Attacked the lower half effectively, though. But right now,
But if there's one guy that deserves everything he's gotten, it's Khamzat Chimaev.
on both sides, Li Jingliang in red, Khamzat Chimaev in black with an early shot.
Oh, nice defense by Lee.
Who else could it be? The guy is destined for greatness. If there's someone who's able to reach the same level of greatness as Conor McGregor, it's this guy. And I have zero doubt about this. He has taken the UFC by storm. Like, his rise to the top is completely insane. Hear me out. Back in 2020, he won 2 fights in the span of 10 days. 10 days, 2 wins. Are you kidding me? And since then, he hasn't looked back. He has already defeated the likes of Li Jingliang,
Get to his back and get around his neck.
Lee's got a
Khamzat Chimaev. Popular narrative coming in, by the way, was that
and Gilbert Burns.
Whoa, big power shots, but nice right hand there.
good defense by Burns.
You can see the power in those hands.
In his most recent fight, he destroyed Kevin Holland.
It's brought to by Timex from the top of UFC. Timex watches have taken a licking and keep on ticking since 1854.
He took no damage in that fight and submitted Holland with ease. He's truly the complete package. The only thing I'm thinking right now is which division he'll choose to fight in going forward. He's the perfect match for all of them. His skills, out of this world. His charisma, unmatched. His durability, sensational. At the moment, he can't do anything wrong. He's surely winning a title in 2023, there's no doubt about that. And if that happens, no one can stop him from becoming the new poster boy of the UFC. You're looking at a guy who has a professional record of 12-0. What more do you look for in a superstar? Nothing.
Holland has closed the guard.
And folks, these were all current young fighters the UFC should build its future around. They'd be stupid not to. See you in the next video.